Wealth is a science. Successful people do things that make them successful. This has been studied over and over. If you aren't already wealthy, chances are you would like to be. Most people want more money than they have access to today, and many dream of becoming a millionaire or multi-millionaire in their lifetimes. The question is, what are the habits, knowledge, and strategies that the wealthy use that the rest of us don't? Millionaires, especially the self-made variety, are different from the average person in many ways of how they live their lives. But most importantly, it's one thing: their daily and ongoing habits. Today, let's look at some of the ways that the successful stand out and how you can easily emulate their habits and grow your own balance sheet. Let's jump in. First things first, get started early. This means both daily and over the course of your lifetime. The sooner you start, the more successful you are going to be. On a daily basis, it seems that successful people tend to wake up earlier than non-successful people. Many senior executives of large companies rise before 5 a.m. in the morning. And one study shows that over half of the self-made millionaires are awake at least 3 hours before they begin their formal workday. Not surprisingly, many of those early risers exercise first thing in the morning and then get on with their day. Many attribute this early exercise to that extra boost of energy that they need and that intensity that they need to get done with their day in a successful way. As a matter of fact, millionaires as a group spend approximately 6 hours exercising each week, which is significantly higher than the general population, which is just 2 hours for the average American per week. So millionaires exercise 3 times as much as the average American. Now, you might not like to get up early, but you can do it anyway. And over time, it will get easier with practice. Your body will adjust and you will discover what many financial overachievers already know: that the early mornings are the best time of day for strategic, quiet contemplation. Analyzing your life, analyzing your day, analyzing your goals. Those things that keep you focused throughout the day and on task. And what this does at the end of the day is the more time you spend on this and planning and putting it together, the more ahead of your competition you are. Also, as reported by the author Thomas Corley, the guy who wrote Change Your Habits, Change Your Life, getting a head start on your day minimizes the chances that you'll be interrupted or distracted before you accomplish your most important items of that day. As a result, you can be sure that you're getting those most important things done before getting to anything else that you're doing the rest of that day that will not be as important as those focused top-tier tasks. Number 2 is be frugal with your money. This goes all the way back to the meme where there's a broke guy covered in designer clothes from head to toe, and next to him is Bill Gates, who's standing in just khakis and a cheap, overly worn polo shirt. The real question is, who is the baller in that photo? Hint, it's not the guy that's wearing $2,000 worth of designer clothes. The wealthiest people are often the most careful with their spending, and they're careful not to spend it on things that are short-term or things that don't bring them a lot of value. Contrary to the popular fantasy of rich people buying whatever they want on a daily basis, most millionaires seem to be very cautious with their expenses overall, and they typically spend much, much less than they earn on a regular basis. Spending less on a regular basis allows them to save and invest, which is key to continuing to grow your wealth. If you spend your entire income regularly, you have nothing left to use for your investments. On the flip side, if you're continually investing, that creates the upward spiral of net worth and growth that can propel you to massive financial heights beyond your peers who have the habit of blowing all of their money every single month. Some of those early morning hours that the millionaires seem to favor can be devoted to researching more investment options for that savings. And as far as investments go, millionaires seem to disproportionately love real estate, investment funds, and stock index funds. Also, millionaires are more likely to turn a hobby into a paying business or run a side hustle to increase their income at something that they deeply enjoy. Or at the very least, find a way to get a tax break for one of their major hobbies. Here's an example. Have you ever seen a really wealthy individual with a car museum? Let me let you in on a secret. That's where that ultra high net worth individual parks their cars, in a professional, massive garage that's also a huge tax advantage business structure. Additionally, aside from mortgage loans, millionaires prefer to avoid debt if it doesn't make sense to pay the interest on that debt. According to financial planner Farron Doggs, his multimillionaire clients pay cash for their cars most typically, and then they keep those cars on a long-term basis to avoid making monthly payments at all if they can. If they do need to finance the purchase, they plan to keep the vehicle even longer after it's paid for to really squeeze out the value of that purchase of the car. Dowgs also reported that his self-made clients also kept a substantial chunk of emergency funds on hand so that they don't get derailed by an expense that they need to cover at that exact moment that would have been hard to budget for otherwise. Number 3, invest conservatively. The biggest setback that you can make in your financial career is a total 100% loss on an investment. It makes it so much harder to pull your returns up if you had a full zero on something you put money towards. So invest safely in things that are going to be there in the future with confidence and that have a track record also in the past. Sure, there are some lucky people that buy an emerging stock or some crypto shitcoin when it's available at a super low price, and then they enjoy the satisfaction of watching the value skyrocket on those. But millionaires actually don't typically count on those jackpot style winnings. Instead, when investing in stocks, for instance, they're more likely to select low-cost index funds than just some random stock off the exchange. Index funds are diversified and they reduce the risk of losing your money as a whole, and generally they perform pretty well over time. So all in all, if you consider that they're more diversified than the rest of the market and that they're going to perform pretty well over time, it's no wonder why index investments are a favorite of millionaires. They also seem to significantly favor real estate, which has the advantages of cash flow, tax advantages, leverage, and often appreciation as well. Even in the worst economy, you still own that property and the walls and the roof and the land that it sits on. It still exists and is a real tangible asset. So the value is super unlikely to ever go to full zero, which makes real estate safer than some assets that can literally be worth zero at the end of the investment journey. The reality is speculation kills your returns, and if you take those losses, it's really hard to balance those into your portfolio's overall return. Number 4, improve your mind. As a whole in the world, Americans spend very little time reading. As a matter of fact, the average American reads just 4 books a year, with many reading 0. On the other hand, the average millionaire, according to a study by Stanley Falla, the author of The Millionaire Next Door, the average millionaire spends over 5 hours reading per week. And that's not even counting for work or investment related material. That is just books. And millionaires are more likely to read self-help, personal growth books, history, and biographies of other successful people. What this does is it reinforces and teaches the habits that those millionaires need to continue to grow in their pursuits on a daily basis. Millionaires also do more than read, though. They exercise their brains in addition to exercising their bodies. Bill Gates, as an example, is known for being super passionate about the game bridge, while Richard Branson overall prefers chess. These strategic pastimes help keep the brain active and finely tuned for the millionaire mind. Playing games that require complex thinking and strategy are excellent for combining entertainment with personal development. Back to Richard Branson for a second. He says that he has played literally thousands of games of chess over his lifetime and thinks it is the best game that has ever been made in the history of the world. As a matter of fact, in his view, the game combines some of the best tactics, planning, bravery, confidence, and risk-taking that you can possibly find on planet Earth. He also points out that it is an amazing community and fosters great conversations during the game with people that are also high-level thinkers. But games are not the only pastime of millionaires. Many high performers prefer more creative pursuits in their personal lives. Warren Buffett plays the ukulele, Meryl Streep knits on a regular basis, and George W. Bush likes to paint regularly. On the other hand, Tom Hanks collects vintage typewriters, and Marissa Mayer of Yahoo loves to bake. All I'm saying is, if I could eat a millionaire's cookies while listening to Warren Buffett play the ukulele and even knit a sweater with Meryl Streep, I feel like that literally might be the best day I've ever had in my entire life. I don't know. If someone could set that up, please reach out to me, okay? Let's get in touch. Another approach to mental and spiritual improvement that millionaires widely practice is meditation. Meditation is scientifically proven to relieve stress and increase productivity, and for those reasons, it's employed by some of the most well-known business leaders in the world today. This list includes Jeff Weiner, CEO of LinkedIn; Bob Shapiro, former CEO turned venture capitalist; Andrew Chert, CEO of Panda Express, who also encourages his staff to meditate; Mark Benioff, founder and CEO of Salesforce, as well as many others, including Ray Dalio, CEO of the largest hedge fund in the world, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, etc., and many more. From my own experience, I can personally say that meditation has been an absolute game changer for my daily life, both in and outside of work. For me personally, it has allowed me to improve my focus, improve my happiness on a regular basis, and be much more clear with my priorities without getting all caught up in the clutter and the noise of daily life. All right, and number 5, and arguably the most important millionaire habit on this list, is be deliberate and extremely organized with your goals. What this means, guys, is being intentional and extremely clear on, first off, what your goals are. From there, once you've established very clear goals, work backwards. What steps and what smaller goals will need to be achieved to get to those bigger goals. Take those huge goals, break them into smaller and smaller goals, and put deadlines with each of the smaller goals that you've set. And most importantly, get moving on them. 2 of my all-time lifetime favorite books on this subject that I constantly seem to recommend in videos are 12-Week Year, which outlines how to break down and set these goals and how to measure them ongoingly. And the second is The One Thing by Gary Keller. Both are extremely helpful in identifying how to choose, plan, and execute high-level goals on everything in your personal life, all the way to business, all the way to lifetime goals that you might never get to if you don't plan accordingly. Still a little skeptical that goal setting and planning is effective? John Corley's book reports that 81% of wealthy people have a daily to-do list, which means they've pre-thought of and pre-organized which tasks they're going to do that associate to which goals they want to achieve. What makes them different than most of the rest of us is that they actually do the things on their lists that they've planned. 2/3 of millionaires in the survey say they routinely accomplish over 70% of the things on their daily to-do lists. That also means that they don't waste time doing things like watching TV, with most millionaires logging less than an hour a day compared to the average American, which watches 3 hours a day of TV. Instead, with all that extra time, they do what we've talked about. They're reading for self-improvement. They're planning and studying their strategies of how to grow both themselves and their investments. They're thinking about the best ways to move forward in the future to reach their goals, and they're breaking them down into bite-sized chunks, and they're acting on those smaller steps. According to the author Fala, self-made millionaires are persistent and resilient in their approach, and they keep pushing when they encounter setbacks. Look, at the end of the day, the reality is self-made millionaires use their time wisely. They don't waste their money. They exercise both the mind and the body, and they don't give up. And while these habits are something that we should all be incorporating into our lives, the rich also have strategies that they use that might sound insane to the average person in addition to their daily habits. One of the biggest strategies they utilize is through using debt strategically in a variety of ways to actually make more money on that debt. Our team spent a ton of time researching these debt strategies, and we ended up compiling them into a video that goes into deep detail of how the rich make money with debt strategies. I'm going to put up a link next to me now to get you to that video so that you too can see the in-depth study of how the wealthy use debt to actually make more money on a regular basis. If you don't understand debt, or you don't use debt to your advantage, you will never reach the highest level of financial freedom that you would otherwise be able to if you did.